Good morning, Charles Van Morgan in the morning. Good morning, Charles Van Morgan in the morning. We're here every morning, 5:30, 6:30, around about that time. So we are Charles Van Morgan, live and doing unbridled news today. We're going to continue the conversation about social movements, and we're going to talk about the most alarming successful tactic of social movements, one that we are not going to fully participate in because we're moral and there are things we won't do. And the other side, people in government power, participate in this activity that's successful all the time. And we're going to tell you what that is when we get down to the bridge. A social movement tactic that we will not do. We won't do it. You know, like the song, I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. You ever heard that song? I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. And we won't do that because, and the song doesn't even tell you what that is. But I'm going to tell you what we won't do for the social movement, what we won't do for love, and what the people in government power do all the time. But we can still win. It's one of the most successful tactics, notoriously used by the most successful social movement organizations, people that are trying to fight against the people in government power, sometimes for legitimate reasons, sometimes for illegitimate reasons. We are trying to fight against people in government power for legitimate reasons. Power to you, the people. It's our government. They've infiltrated our government. So we're going to talk about the most popular tactic that works, that we won't do for love. We won't do that, and we can still win. And we'll tell you that when we get to the bridge. So hold on if you want to hear what that tactic is. I'm Charles Van Morgan. We're live doing unbridled news. We do it in the morning routinely, and we might pop up at other times through the day live. We're unbridled. We're not controlled by any government agencies. And we tell you the truth you won't hear anywhere else, because we don't have anything to lose except for our life, and then we'll go to heaven because we trust and believe in Jesus Christ. So we're spreading the truth of the gospel also, and telling you the truth about people in government power from an educated perspective. I have a doctor of jurisprudence. I got the same legal education they got. I've been to their training legal schools. I know what they teach, and I know that you can throw all the legal stuff in the river and they lie, and do whatever they want to do. They'll use the law when it applies, and when it doesn't apply, they'll change the rules, and they win every time. That's the reason why we're involved in Power to You, the People movement, Charles Van Morgan. And I ask you to join this movement, participate. It's about getting your government back. I don't really think you completely had it, but giving your government to you by weekly meetings and listen to what citizens in Tennessee and in your city, state, and nation, what you have to say, and you can run the government. And we can stand up against them using social movement tactics. I have a Master of Arts in sociology with an emphasis in criminology, so I know a lot about social movements. And here recently I've been studying them. In the past 6 years, we've been actively involved in a social movement. Power to You, the People, fighting people that are rogue in the government, that are self-serving. And I ask you to be a part of that. We'll tell you the most successful tactic they use that we won't use, because we're moral individuals that won't do what they do. But we can still win. And if we point out the immorality of their evil tactics, then that in itself gives an advantage, because there's things that they're doing that we're going to point out to. We're going to say, look what they're doing. Look how evil they are. They're willing to do this to maintain power, and it's something that's not right on multiple fronts. and we won't do it. And there's more of us, so it gets mass appeal. If there's a line, you won't cross it. They'll cross it. They cross it all the time, every day, all the time, and we're just going to point it out. And it reinforces public opinion about us, which is we're trying to win hearts and minds. We're moral, just, and upright. We are the people. They've infiltrated our system. So we're going to talk about social movements. Now, social movements are groups of people, organizations that get together, people, it can be two or more. Hopefully it's more than two, because the more the merrier, the more people we can get together, the more of their crooked you can expose, the more power you can knock down that they've gotten illegitimately, and make the more of a difference you can make. And we seek change in the existing crooked social order. We want to return back to the Constitution of the United States of America, where we have freedom of speech, right to bear arms, the right against unlawful search and seizure, the right to not to incriminate ourselves, the right to an attorney, the right against cruel and unusual punishment, the right to have our criminal justice system blind and act fairly, not according to race or not according to income level, which is what it is now, the most harsh punishments. And we're going to tell you what we're about and what we've been doing and what we'll continue to do. And if you help us out, we will be successful. And I'll tell you how and what we've been doing. And I'll talk about today I'm going to talk about some social movements, why they started, and some of their tactics, and what we can do to facilitate change for you, for the mass populace of people. There's more of us than there are them. They can't kill everybody. They can't beat on everybody. They can't make everybody get in a long line and wait for us to give them their money corruptly, wait for us to give them our money that don't deserve it, and wait in a line to do it, that don't provide the services that they're supposed to. They can't make everybody wait in that line. There's some people in that line that'll question, wait a minute, why am I giving you all this money? Why did it go up and the services go down? They can't make everybody wait in that line. We're not waiting in that line. So they have a form of legitimacy. They say, we're legitimate, we're the government. No, we're the government. And we decide whether or not you're legitimate. And that's part of the first part of this conversation. I want to talk about how do we decide if they're legitimate. Well, and I hope you agree, there's a thing called disorganization. Now, it's a theory, but it's been tested. Empirical studies means it's been tested by science. So other movements have been looked at, and what started, why did people get together as a collective and stand up against the people in power? And we're going to look at a prison case. Now that relates, because the government pretty much right now has us in prison. Although I don't agree with the tactics that they used, it shows how the New Mexican prison riot in the 1980s shows how deprivation causes people to act. Now, they didn't act right in the way some of them responded to it. Some of them acted right that were in prison. Not all of them did, and I eschew violent behavior, hurting someone for political or social movement gain unjustifiably. It's wrong, wrong, wrong. Don't do it. You might get by with it. You might get concessions. But God hates violence, and He'll hold you accountable. You might get by with a lot of things on this earth. God will hold you accountable. But there are means and methods, tested, tried, and true, that I'm about to tell you that will work, that we can get the government to us. We are the government, and kick these rogue people out of office. So the 1980 prison riot in New Mexico, one of the biggest uprising at the time, cost millions and millions of dollars, most expensive in history at that time. Started in New Mexico when they changed wardens. They had a change of regime. They had a Mr. Rodriguez that evidently got fired because he was taking bribe money. But according to the prisoners, he ran the prison pretty well. So we'll continue this story. Let me see if anybody's watching. If I have any adherents, constituents, or protagonists, who people involved in social movement, or just bystanders. We're just watching, seeing what's going on here at bystander. And you can be converted, or maybe not. One of the ways you bystanders are converted is if the people in power continue to use violent tactics and bystanders get sympathetic, like they did in the civil rights movement when they turned water hoses on little children and people and beat them. Bystanders become sympathetic in the civil rights movement and made a turn. The more violent the government got, the more sympathetic bystanders got. So if you're on here and you're a bystander, hey, we'll try to show you how dirty the government is. Talk about that 1980 prison riot in New Mexico. Many of y'all were alive during that time. You remember that. Great uprising, horrific. 33 prisoners were murdered by other prisoners in the uprising. Now, not all the prisoners did wrong, but there's a reason for the major uprising where they just completely dismissed all sense of order, which we're not going to do. But it shows you the basis of why they got activated. And we can use that means to get activated ourselves, but activate in an appropriate manner like some of the prisoners did. Not all the prisoners acted roguely, but some of them did. And the reason for the activation was disorganization theory. And I'll explain that to you in just a second. Let me see how many people got on here. Welcome, welcome. Come on in. Charles Van Morgan in the morning. Got a lot to talk about when we get to the bridge. And there's a point where we're going to the bridge. We'll tell you about that. We'll tell you about, you know, the song, What We Won't Do for Love. We'll do anything for love, but we won't do that. So, and we'll tell you about what that movement did, the prison riot, and we'll also talk about some other civil rights movement. Social scientists study uprising to figure out why they happened and why they were successful or not. And we can use that knowledge to advance power to you, the people. And that's what we're doing. So we'll explain that to you about what movement, what tactic we will not use, and what tactics we're going to use and we've been using. So at least be a bystander, be an adherent, a constituent. And we've even got antagonists on here. These are counter movements. We'll explain that to you too. And you're welcome, welcome. We won't tell you all our secrets. Just some of them. We know all yours. We've read the books. You haven't read a damn thing, don't know a damn thing, because you think that you're going to get by with your violence and abuse. And I'm here to tell you, I don't think so, because I'm fighting for the people, and we'll continue to. So let's see how many people we got on here, and we'll tell you some more stuff. We're on our way to the bridge. So thank y'all for joining me. Unbridled News, Charles Van Morgan, live in the morning. Welcome, welcome. Let me see how many people we got, maybe answer some questions. Thank you for joining me. Over 525,000 people have in the past little over a month. So we're doing some good damage to people in power that are running it roguely. And we appreciate it. So let me see. So yeah, we got quite a few people in here. So let's see. Try yoga and meditation. Yeah, how about try knowledge? That health is a, well, seek help, man. You clearly have mental issues. Yeah, how about Mr. Rodney Robinson, you stop your dirty gaslighting, because it don't work on somebody who has an education. Kyle Morgan, Grumps. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, he killed himself, didn't he, in a drunk driving wreck. So, still yapping. No, I'm not yapping. Listen to the antagonist and the he does all this to himself. Okay. Listen to the antagonist. Drive for diabetes. Amen. Awareness. That's right. I stand with you, my friend, of the people, for the people. Amen. Camp Palance. Yeah, thank you. So we got some people in here. But antagonists and counter me. You mean the J people, sir? Who? So yeah, so counter movements are a sign. Counter movements are a sign. Trump, Trump, Trump. Trump is the GOAT. I don't know what that means, GOAT, but counter movements are a sign that your movement is being successful. So all these antagonists in here and members of counter movements. I like rock and roll music. You ain't seen nothing yet. And all these people gaslighting. Oh, you said something bad to me. I'm going to go away. Oh, yeah, right. You're so funny and stupid. And keep your stupid. Keep your stupid. I'm waving at you. Idiots. Gaslighting doesn't work. Well, somebody knows what gaslighting is. And you are a counter movement, which means thank you. We know we're stepping on your toes. And look, I'll gash them. I'll step on real hard. Symbolically, yeah, you know, stepping on your toes, ain't it? So yeah, if we're meaningless and insignificant, then why are you on here? So yeah, counter movements are. And people on here, if you see people saying false comments like the government does, then hey, that's a sign that we're making a difference. Now let's don't tell them that. Oh, we're so affected by your counter movement. Oh, it hurts us so bad. Yeah, right. That's so funny. That's so funny. Evil is not as powerful as the truth. The truth matters. And what we're telling you is the truth. And they're lying. And they lie. That's the reason, one of the reasons for the social movement is they lie in their court rulings. They lie in government power. They've taken over the government. Rogue people, protesters, and they use the government for themselves to adversely affect you and lie and maintain illegitimate power. So let's talk about sociology, which is the foundation of all this info. And it is basically, sociology is the study of how outside forces affect an individual. Like psychology is the study from the inside out, how people's thinking affects what they do. Well, sociology is how other people affect your psychology, how you react. And it has a major impact, knowingly or unknowingly. To know how it affects you is powerful, because then you can decide if you want to obey the forces that would cause you to behave in a certain manner or not. Now, some social forces that cause you to react in a certain manner are good. You should conform to some social forces that cause you to act like not stealing other people's property. A person's behavior should not wrongly, adversely affect someone else. Those are social forces. Common thinking and common social force on an individual that you're looked down on if your behavior wrongly affects other people. Drunk driving. If you drink and drive and hurt somebody, you're looked down on. So you, not just criminally, but society looks down on. So you should conform. You shouldn't drink and drive. There are other social forces that you shouldn't pay attention to, that you should ignore, that you should make your own decision. One of them is that the government is people in government power are legitimate and act in your interest, because they don't. They don't. That's what elections are for. They don't. I'm here to tell you they don't. So we shouldn't go along with the status quo. We have right now a shutdown of the government. So it's not working at all. The federal government shut down. It's closed. People ain't getting their paychecks. So are they working in people's interest? They can't even get along in the government. So should we continue to have a government that can't even stay open, can't even agree because power mongers? And some of the people that have closed down the government are saying, well, we're not taking a paycheck either. And oh, that's so good of them to do that. They have so much money from your tax money, they can do without paychecks. So that's not saying anything. What would say something is that they would get along and pass laws and fund the government that serves the people. But they won't do that. They're power mongers, both sides. Republicans and Democrats. So you shouldn't believe that the government's legitimate all the time. Because it's not. It's not. Most people believe that. There's social pressure to go along. You don't have to go along. You can vote these dirtbags out. Vote Republicans and Democrats out. Both of them. Now, one of the signs that our president right now is effective is because people don't get along with him. They got a lot of counter movements against him, trying to point him out and blame everything on him. And he may be the greatest president in American history. I'm just saying. So don't blame the president. That's one of the results of doing a good job, is you have people say, hell no, we're not going to take a fight for the people. We're going to shut down the government. That kind of tells you my position on that. So I wouldn't blame the president for standing up for the populace, which is, I'm a populist, civil rights, social movement leader that is in the fight, and we'll explain to you what we've been doing. So sociology is the study of how other people, scientific study, it's a well-accepted body of knowledge, how outside people influence people's behavior and put them in situations or take them out of situations regardless of merit. Now that's a fact, it does. A lot of things you can't do anything about, but at least you know, you don't deal the cards. Society deals the cards, but at least you know that you have to play the cards you're dealt the best you can. Because a lot of times it depends on who's your daddy, but we can fight that. So try standing in the elevator facing the crowd instead of they got these water things where they make the sidewalk wet. Hope nobody don't slip and fall. But try standing in the elevator backwards, facing the crowd instead of standing toward the elevator. Social pressure will have you stand towards the door. Try that one time. See how much social pressure causes you to turn around. Stand there and say hello to everybody in an elevator. Now social pressure tell you, no, can't do that. We've got to turn around and face the door. Or try going in a public park or out on the street, just your regular clothes, and start picking up trash in front of everybody. Walk up where they got trash beside them or something. Start picking up garbage, putting it in the bag for no reason other than to clean up the environment. People wonder what the hell you're doing. What the hell you're doing. Just regular private community service is pressure, but don't do that. Even though that's a good thing to do. If you want to go out and pick up garbage, try that. Go out and pick up garbage in the city or county around a bunch of people. They'll wonder what the hell you're doing. Just tell them I'm trying to clean up my environment, the environment, your environment. But social pressure causes you not to do that. So there is social pressure. Scientists study that so that at least we know what we're dealing with. And that's what I have a degree in. So I know a little bit about social pressure. And just a little bit of body of knowledge. So we're talking about social movements. How social movements, how they're organized, and how they combat change, resist change, or promote change. Now there's some social movements bad, some of them good. Ours is based on the Constitution of the United States of America. the agreement that we have to live in this country started in the colonist days. First Amendment, freedom of speech. It's what I'm doing. Freedom of speech doesn't protect speech that the government likes, and people in power like, because they wouldn't stop that. They like it if you brag on the government. People in power are such honest, great people. They're so wonderful. Wow, we ought to keep voting for them and electing them. They'll work things out. They'll work things out in their favor. The First Amendment protects speech that the government doesn't like. As long as it's not promoting intimate violent action. We're supposed to be able to do that in America, can we? Hell no, try it. So we need to fight that. We need to get our First Amendment right back. We need to be able to stand up and call the government out for the crimes that they freaking commit. And that's what we're doing. Simply trying to enforce the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. Try it in the House of Representatives in Tennessee. Try clapping when a law's passed that you like and see what lying little Russell does. He'll kick you out of the House of Representatives. Oh, you're causing a disturbance. Yeah, he kicked everybody out. He'll show you, you shut the hell up and do what we tell you to do. No! No! We can't even say no. That's against the law to say no. Yeah. Right, so we're standing up against that violence. So we missed the sign here. So many people, yeah, we got 130 people on here. So we're standing up against the Second Amendment. They're trying to use horrific incidences to take away people's guns so that we don't have a right to protect ourselves and bear arms. Wow. You know, one of the reasons for the Second Amendment was to protect ourselves against government violence against us when they turn rogue and when they take over and when they won't, let me see if we can get across this, when they won't do what they're supposed to do, represent the people. Read Article 1, Sections 1 and 2 of the Tennessee Constitution. It will tell you that it is absurd not to resist a rogue government. Yeah, you get that right, read it. So we're within our constitutional rights to resist a rogue government that doesn't represent us. Got one guy in law school that was part of law enforcement. He said, yeah, you try and do that, they got guns, they'll kill you. Yeah, try to stand up for the First Amendment. Second Amendment, they'll kill you. They sure might. They might. This ain't a game. It's the real deal. So I'm saying don't get killed, but we can be tactful where we don't get killed. Avoid wrongful incarcerations and avoid getting murdered. Be careful, but it's a real fight. I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you that wasn't a real possibility. So we're engaging in a civil rights movement right now, and we're engaging in a tactic. As I speak, I'm engaging in a civil rights tactic and a social movement tactic. The ground will cooperate, and it just did. So here's one of the tactics that we're using. I told you I'd tell you when we get to the bridge. Look at this right here. Civil rights tactic. And look at the other side. We're still here. That's a civil rights tactic. Fraud elections. Morgan for governor 2026, I don't know. That's one of the tactics we're using. And look at this. Tennessee government crimes caused hundreds to get killed. Yeah, we're on it. Let's turn this sign around and let the public see our little civil rights movement. Now, it is socially unacceptable in some circles to protest the government. They don't like that, but that's legal. That's a First Amendment right. So, social movements stand up against the rogue government. We got a right to can't do that. We're on constitutional grounds, they're not. So let's talk about disorganization theory and why people get engaged in social movements, like in the 1980 New Mexican prison riot. They got involved in a social movement because of disorganization. Because of the fact that it was in 1980, and the cause was deprivation. Disorganization is breakdown, causes collective action, arises New Mexican prison riot. 1986, 33 inmates killed, 400 injured, 200 million in damage, and even that'd be even more today. And several inmates overpowered 4 guards is when it started. And the reason why it started was because the prison changed the man over the prison, and the deprivation started. They stopped their educational opportunities. They stopped their ability to work out. They stopped their religious activities. The food got worse, and the prison was intolerable, almost intolerable before, but it got to a level where it was intolerable. People couldn't take the new prison warden. Made it even worse. They instituted snitches, where the snitches would tell on other inmates and give the institution warden complete control. You couldn't even trust your friends. So there was a complete breakdown, a disorganization. And that's what's going on today in society. It's not a prison, it's similar to a prison. You know, they shut the whole economy down in 2020 during the COVID situation. Didn't give us any choice. The economy is wrecked right now. There are lots of reasons to consider a breakdown in society. The federal government can't even pass the economy. They can't even pass an agreement to fund the government. And so the prisoners rioted. Some of them committed acts of violence. Horrible, horrific acts of violence. And I told you I'd tell you what we won't do in this political organization. Power to you, the people movement, is we will not do violence. Now, some of the prisoners got together and escaped and turned themselves over to the guards, which is what they should have done in that situation. But the riot contributed to improvements in living conditions outside prison, began to take interest in welfare of inmates. The snitch system was ended, and the abuse, the constant abuse of the prison and warden subsided. So that particular social movement inside a prison was caused by disorganization, was one of the motivating forces, a theory of why social movements start. So that is why we should start, and we have started conducting this social movement. And there will be counter movements, just like I said, where they'll engage in a goal to halt or neutralize the goal attainment activities of the movement in question, like the pro-life, pro-abortion movements. And depending on how you frame it, tells you how. An antagonist are people in power standing in opposition to a movement's adherents and constituents. That's you. Adherents and constituents and bystanders are what you all are. And we can sometimes be the target of the action, city, state, or national government. And they are attacking us. Trust me. I was arrested for saying, vote for me, I'm running for public office. And I knew I would, because you can't run for public office if you're not a billionaire in the state of Tennessee. They won't tell you that, but why was I arrested? That's why. So that's one of the tactics. We are using another tactic's our sign right here on a bridge where they funneled everybody. Organizations that normally channel people into conventional behavior. Disorganization, the New Mexican Ride of 1980. So when there's a breakdown that normal channel people in normal behavior, then they get involved in social movements. Collection arises from a breakdown occurs, structures of solidarity, church and family, and work and voluntary. Look at the breakdown in the system right now. So I'm going through my notes. Innovation and tactics may not be attempted in the face of wildly shared feelings of pessimism and impotence that they are likely to prevail. A political system must become vulnerable. So the political system is vulnerable now. Now there are a lot of people that would tell me shared feelings of pessimism that we can't make a difference and that we're not likely to prevail. And there's probably a lot of arguments to substantiate that, hey, power to you the people, this YouTube channel, me spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ won't get people to accept him and get into heaven, which will. And there are a lot of people that believe that this social movement can't prevail, and maybe it can't, but we can sure try. One of the things that makes it prevail is persistence and determination and continuance over a large period of time, even though there's periods of a small amount of lag. And we've been at this since 2019, when we first went to the Howard Baker Public Policy Center and spoke out publicly, attempted to, against one of the rogue judges. So that's 2019, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. That's 6 years. Next year will be the 7th year we've been involved in this power to you the people social movement organization. Some of the tactics that we've used have been go to public meetings. And you can do the same thing. Go to public meetings, disagree with the status quo where appropriate, and also where there's people, props, that other counter movements have got set up in the meetings to disagree with the government, disagree with the disagreement. So, don't go along, period. Don't go along. The time has passed with the government, with people in government power. They have props set up to disagree with people in public power, to try to influence people in an area that the government people really want to go along with. But politically, they're not allowed to, because people know that it's the wrong thing to do. So they have props stand up and act like the public's for something to disagree with people in government power. And they actually do this, a tactic. They're well organized. So they'll stand up and disagree with the government, and people think, oh, the government's going to get back. No, the government's put them up there. They're a prop. So just because somebody stands up in a public meeting and disagrees with the government doesn't mean they're right. The government's probably put them up there because the government knows, if you can understand this concept, the government knows that the people want something done. Like they want a bridge open, Gay Street Bridge open, for example. So the public knows that. So, and the government's foreclosing it. They're foreclosing it. But they know it's popular. People in South Knoxville want that bridge open. I've talked to them, I know. But the government wants it closed because they want you to walk over there, and they want everybody on foot while they drive in cars. So what they do is they have a prop. Stand up in a meeting. And they have. And say that they are supportive of the bridge continue being closed. And people in government power, we listen to you, and we're going to listen to the public and agree with that. But that's just a prop. The public don't agree with that. So you don't have to go along with their props. Disagree. You can stand up in the public meeting and say, no, we want the bridge open. We disagree with the disagreement. Agree with the truth. Don't let them fool you with their ups and downs and circle tricks. People want the bridge open. Somebody stands up at a meeting and says the public don't want it open. Malarkey. That's somebody the government's told to stand up there and say what they don't want to say. It's politically not popular. So they've been at this a long time. So that's one of the tactics they use. So go to public meetings and disagree. That's one of the tactics you can use. And social movements. I've used that myself. Go to sit-ins is a tactic that you can use, which is you can go to the county courthouses and the judicial hearings and listen to what's going on. Now, don't get arrested. Don't stand up in the meeting and start yelling and hooping and hollering. That'll get you arrested. Don't do that. But listen to the judge's decisions. Write down when you see illegal stuff happening. It happens every single day in these courthouses down here. The judges rule for illegal, illegitimate reasons. They'll call stuff black when it's white or white when it's black. Obvious, blatant, dirty lies from their bench. And I said bench. I didn't say the other word. So YouTube don't take me off. So go to their hearings like MAD does. And MAD's just an arm of the government. Mothers Against Drunk Driving, they're not really against drunk driving. Yeah. So go to their hearings and listen to what they're doing. And it'll infuriate you. I used to, when I was a trooper and in law enforcement, I used to have to go all the time, and those road judges would turn lawyers' kids loose and make you go to jail when you didn't even commit the crime. They've got people that are being arrested right now that aren't guilty of a crime. And these judges will hold them guilty. You have one judge in the same day in the same courthouse will rule one thing, and the same judge the next hour later will rule something completely different on the same set of facts. There's no truth and justice. It's all about politics. And they go out in the back hallways and they make deals, and you can see the results of their deals when they come in by who's who. Who's your daddy? Who's your mama? Who's got money in their billfold? Plays a big part of the illicit semblance of justice that's fake in these courthouses. Go in these courthouses and sit and listen to what they're doing. That money right there, yeah, that'll buy you out of prison. That'll buy you out of jail. Contribute to their political campaigns, and you'll get a ruling in your favor. But is that right? Is that right? This is America. We're not supposed to have Russian prisons and Russian courts. Go listen to them. You will see some heinous stuff right before your eyes. Unbelievable. It'll infuriate you. And then go to my webpage, go to my YouTube channel, click on my survey, and report it to me. You can do it anonymously. If you want to include your name, I'll put it out to the public. I'm not afraid of these dirt bags. They're dirt bags. They're afraid of me. And they should be, not because of violence, because of one word, T-R-U-T-H, because of telling the truth about things. Unbridled. They can't do anything to me. They beat on me enough, and I'm still here. And so tactics are more easily viewed as powerful if they are harsh, highly visible, dramatic, and disruptive normal institutional routes. Okay, yeah. So go to the courthouses, report to me government corruption on my YouTube survey thing. It's got a place you can do it anonymously. I won't report who you are. The other thing you can do is in the civil rights movement, they use freedom rides. The first was May 4th, 1974. They left from Birmingham, Alabama, on the way to New Orleans, and they left from Anniston, Alabama, on their way to New Orleans in the civil rights movement, freedom rides, protesting the segregation of buses. And in Birmingham, Alabama, a savage mob attacked the bus, and the riders flew to New Orleans to complete the journey. So we're going to do freedom rides all over the state of Tennessee. We're going to as we have in the past. We've been doing that since 2021 when we started running for governor of the state of Tennessee, riding all over the state of Tennessee. If we can get a bus, so much the better. It's a billboard across the state, and knock on doors, and we might run for governor or facilitate the movement, get the word out about how crooked people in power are, about how dangerous they are to your safety, health, and well-being. So we're going to do freedom rides, talking about tactics that we are using. We're using one right now, this very minute, YouTube, and got my sign out here on a major bridge that they funnel people over. So we're on it. The bus boycott, most famous, was Montgomery, Alabama, led by Dr. Martin Luther King. And also the second one was in Nashville, Tennessee, left May 17th. They were arrested and jailed in Jackson, Mississippi, May 24th for trespassing, for riding across the state in a bus tour, by us all over Tennessee. That's what we're going to do. The other tactic that we can use in this social movement organization is to, I've used this tactic, I'm not telling you to, but their lawyers are rogue. They're double agents. In Tennessee, they represent the state of Tennessee. They represent the prosecutor. And they do what they tell them to do, and they don't represent you, in my opinion, and I've seen that myself. They decide, the government decides who's a lawyer and who's not. So they only put lawyers to represent you that they approve, that the government approves. The Board of Law Examiners approves, they're the government, and they approve lawyers. And they only approve lawyers that represent the judges and the people in power. They have said, because I have spoke out publicly against judges after they turned me down the first time, that was one of the reasons why they wouldn't give me my law license. They said that in their opinion. So they won't get a lawyer that goes against the judge that violates your constitutional rights. So I'm just saying, the possibility is there that you don't have to use their rogue judges, their double agents. It's a sociological phenomenon that judges are double agents. They're officers of the court. So you think you got a lawyer when you go into court that represents you wholeheartedly, has your interest in mind, and they're supposed to according to professional rules of ethics, but they're also officers of the court. And if you have no recourse if they don't represent you. You can file a complaint through the government. Good luck with that. File a complaint to the government about the government. Yeah. But you have no recourse. You have none. And if they don't obey what the government says, the government will take their livelihood. So they have a recourse and you don't. So they won't speak out against the government. So you can represent yourself. I have before. And I have used lawyers sometimes. You have to make your own decision about that. But that's a possible tactic. Quit making these damn dirty lawyers rich. I've represented myself in a car accident case. People say it's a fool that one who represents itself as a fool for a client. That's what lawyers say. And, you know, a good lawyer, what a good lawyer is one at the bottom of the ocean. Yeah, so you can't trust lawyers completely. I wouldn't. You can think about representing yourself. And it's not always a fool for a client to represent yourself. So if you want to read and get educated about how to represent yourself, David Toulis, shout out to him. He's representing himself and he's representing society in his effort to overturn the corporations getting money from mandatory insurance laws. So shout out to David Toulis. Hello, David. A great man. And fighting for you, filing a lawsuit for himself and you, the citizens of the state of Tennessee. Contribute to his cause if you can. That's a good, he's knowingly or unknowingly involved in a social movement, representing himself. I think very successful if he gets a fair hearing. So that's one way you can a tactic of social movement is boycott. boycott the legal system maybe if you want to. Now, you can hire a lawyer. Sometimes that's a good thing. But there are people who have killed police. They said in self-defense and in Roane County. And they had it out with their attorney and decided to represent themselves. And they were exonerated of murder. 2 men in Roane County that represent themselves. So you're not always a fool for representing yourself. That's what attorneys tell you, because they want your money. And they work for the state. They're double agents. In sociological studies, when people were asked, who was the first person to suggest that a criminal defendant would plead guilty, the number one person that was the first to suggest that they plead guilty to a crime was their defense attorney. So they're the ones telling you, hey, you need to plead guilty to this. What if you don't want to? What if you weren't guilty? What if you want to make the state prove its case so that they won't convict every damn body of everything, which is what they do a lot of times. What about that? Yeah. That's the number one person that suggests you plead guilty. It's your criminal defense attorney. So maybe you should not have a criminal defense attorney, and sometimes, there's people that get out of crimes. You don't have to have an attorney. You don't have to have their state-appointed attorneys. So come on in, like, share, comment, and contribute if you can. So, a boycott of the people in power in the legal system is a tactic you can use. Now, I'm not telling you to, but you can make up your own mind. Let's boycott them, because the second person was the person's significant other. And those two played a huge part in making for a person to decide to plead guilty. So it was one of their attorneys. So boycott the attorneys if you don't want to plead guilty. You don't have to use their attorneys. You can have an armchair defense attorney where you represent yourself and they just give you legal advice that you can take or reject. It's called an armchair quarterback. It's people that refuse an attorney that involved in serious crimes, and you can have an armchair attorney. You can listen to what they got to say, take it into account, and then argue to the court yourself and argue to the jury yourself. That's what the Roane County men did, and they didn't get convicted of serious charge of murder to deputy sheriffs. So that's one tactic we can use, boycotts. And we have used YouTube to get the message out. We have used running for public office twice. Ran for governor, knocked on hundreds of doors, knocked on doors, and ran for city council. Got a lot of attention. Got on television that a television station refused to have us on. And got a lot of public attention by running for public office. It's been very successful in bringing attention to the movement. Now, we haven't won public office because people in power have the system rigged where we can't win, like this right here. Fraud elections, but we're still here. You can't win unless you're a Democrat or Republican. You say stuff against the Democrat or Republicans that can't even pass the budget to keep the government running, and you won't get elected. You got to get on their bandwagon. No, I'm not getting on their bandwagon. Don't have to. We can build up a independent social movement, independent of the Republicans and Democrats. And even Donald Trump don't like the Republicans. He called the Republicans in Tennessee, called Governor Bill Lee, the leader of the Republican Party in Tennessee, called him a rhino. And, so Republican name only. They just get on the ticket to get votes. So let's talk about William Garrison. He studied 53 groups. On average, these groups who use disruptive forms of protest were more successful, both acceptance and advantages, than groups that excuse them. So disruptive tactics and even violence, which we're not going to use, were successful in gaining concessions and acceptance in social movement organizations. So the squeaky wheel gets oiled, according to a study by William Garrison. We're going to talk about some social movements that use violent tactics, semi-violent tactics, that were successful. The Tobacco Night Riders in 1906, they were a secret fraternal order that we called the Silent Brigade, the Inner Circle, and their purpose was to force all tobacco owners to join the Planters Protective Association. So they wanted all the tobacco growers to join the sellers to join their brigade, their night riders, so that they could only sell through them. That was their objective, and to force tobacco companies to buy tobacco only from the association. And they were some of the most violent of the groups in 1906. Their first show of force was in Princeton, Kentucky. December 1st, 1906, they went to Princeton, Kentucky, and they took over the whole damn town. They took over the police department, took over the water plant, took possession of the city hall. They took possession of they took over the police department. They burned down 2 tobacco facilities in Princeton, Kentucky in 1906. And after they burned the tobacco companies down, they also shot bullets. They didn't kill anybody. People who refused to get back during their takeover of Princeton, Kentucky. And they also struck again in Hopkinsville, Kentucky a year later, and they beat up a buyer of tobacco that wasn't part of it, but they didn't kill him. And one of their members was killed, but they didn't retaliate. But they took over Hopkinsville, Kentucky, and they gained acceptance and concessions from people in government power by using violent tactics. Now, they didn't kill anybody, but they burned the town down. Now, I'm not saying we should do that. I'm just talking about disruptive violent tactics work. A Native American Republican Party, and the labor unions were some of the people in history that have been involved in violent methods and social movements that have overwhelmingly gained acceptance and concessions from the government by using unruly tactics and some violent, which we're not going to use violence, but unruly tactics work. Being unruly works. Whereas the violence recipients, passive recipients, were attacked and either did not or could not because they had insufficient means to fight back. The International Worker Men's Association, the attempt a mass demonstration at City Hall, ordered to disperse by police, they were immediately beat. The abolitionists, frequent recipients of violent anti-abolitionist rights, and all these movements that were recipients of violence were very unsuccessful. They did not retaliate because they couldn't or wouldn't. Were not very successful. So the success of the unruly in movement politics is often in life, the squeaky wheel may get greased. So here's a diagram of Violent users, 62% were gained acceptance, where violence recipients only 14% gained acceptance. New advantages, social movements that use violence, disruption, 75% gained new acceptance, new advantages. So they made a difference. Their social movement got the government to act a little better. And in the new advantage for violent recipients, none of them gain new advantages. So if you accept violence, you're not gonna be successful. They're overwhelmingly they're gonna beat you down. Violence and outcomes excluding displacing groups. So violence users, acceptance, 83% got advantages, got acceptance. So the public generally accepted them using disruptive measures. And new advantages, violence and outcomes excluding displaced groups. 100% got new advantages in this study. Does violence pay? Am I ready to conclude that violence basically works? William Ganson said. Not quite, or at least not in any simple fashion. And my caution is not due simply to the small number of cases involved. He studied 53, and the real possibility of sampling is easier to say where these data refute than what they prove. Scientifically, the data undermine the following line of thinking. Violence is a product of frustration, desperation, and weakness. So if we act unruly, it's not because we're weak, it's because we're strong. It is an act of last resort by those who see no other means of achieving their goals. So it's not an act of last resort being unruly. So we can, like I got arrested falsely. So violence works. Now let me tell you, I mentioned in closing, they use the news media, that channel right there, to try to dismantle our social movement, the anti-movement. Let me mention in closing, what they did to me, they're doing right now to another police officer. His name is Ray Fairclough. You can look him up in the news, and we're going to get off here and be back on here tomorrow morning. And like, share, comment, subscribe, and join the movement. So let's talk about Ray Fairclough. They're doing this same thing they did to me. They're doing to him right now. Now he is a deputy in Morgan County, was. Honestly, I am almost, four-letter word, promise you that he was drunk, he was on whatever lasts on it, because there's no way that somebody in the right mind would happen to another human. Confusion, does your mom know that you stole? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Mine, never mind. Was a trooper that initiated, yeah, they keep counter movement. Old Glory, part of a counter movement. Okay, yeah. Fake news. Okay. Okay, Charles wasn't drinking. Charles was mad, wanted to watch someone. Yeah. Counter movements. That means Old Glory means that we're stepping on some toes, don't it? We sat in the car and watched the guy burn because he was intoxicated himself. Yeah, that's not true. Yeah, we got counter movements on here, but you're not getting anywhere. And they're doing the same thing to this deputy right here that they tried to do to me. That's Ray Fairclough. I know him. Now, what they're doing to Ray Fairclough is, you see how long we've been on here. Yeah, a little over an hour. Ray Fairclough was a deputy in Morgan County. I'll show you the crooked courthouse that they passed their crooked laws. Now, Ray Fairclough was a deputy in Morgan County, and he had a man, according to reports, running at him with a rock. And he defended himself and shot the man and killed him. And It's called self-defense, I believe. People say a rock won't hurt you. They had a deputy sheriff here in Knoxville put in intensive care just a few weeks later that got hit in the head by a rock. So, go figure. A rock's a deadly weapon. Can be. So I personally think that Ray Farrakhan had every right to defend himself. It's not pretty self-defense. The guy shouldn't have threatened him with a rock. So on the news, you look at the news media and they're running down Ray Farrakhan. Say he got written up. Say he got in trouble. He's had a history of being written up, suspended, and he's a road cop. And the news media's running him down. That's the same thing they did to me. And I don't believe Ray did anything wrong. He's been brought up on homicide charges. He's going to stand trial here in a few days for murder when he defended himself against somebody with a rock. And the news channel is, you listen to their dialogue. He got written up he used to work for Oak Ridge and saying he got fired with the Tennessee Highway Patrol. He was never a trooper. That's not true. And saying he had a history of disciplinary action. I know officers that talk about him. He was a very good officer. He was by the book, did the right things. Oak Ridge wrote him up. Look at Oak Ridge officers. They're out taking pictures of women's feet. You know, maybe the people that were taking pictures of women's feet wrote him up. You know, just because he didn't get along with people in the police department. I know Ray. It's probably their fault. Sure, he didn't get along with the road police department. And they're not even, I haven't heard them firing any officers that are out taking pictures of women's feet while they're writing you speed tickets. Isn't that rogue? So what, he didn't get along with Oak Ridge Police Department? You know, I mean, wow. So the news media is running him down because somebody was killed. Similar, they run me down because a man killed himself. I didn't even kill him, trying him on homicide charges. Wow. Wow. Yeah, he'll beat the charge. It's all political. They shouldn't even charge him. So what they did to me was horrific. In 2011, there were 4 officers killed in high-speed pursuits. So that's part of the tactic. We got 525,000 people listening to us. And part of the tactics, Trump was arrested. Charles Van Morgan was arrested wrongly. Rosa Parks was arrested, but hey, it ain't about race, is it? Unless you're racist. And go along with the program. So here's Rosa Parks. So white people can stand up against the government legitimately too, and we can make a difference. Lester Roloff made a difference in overturning the governor's race in Texas in the 1980s, and we can too. So Ray Farrakhan standing trial for homicide, and they ran him down in the news media. They ran me down too for being involved in a legitimate legal pursuit. We're going to get off here. We won't use violence. That's a tactic we won't use. I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. We won't do violence. That's a police officer, Terry Mae Lewis, Albany Police Department, Georgia. She was killed in 2011 in a pursuit just like me. In a high-speed pursuit, just like I was in 2011. Now, she got hit in a wreck and died. The state has tried to hit me and kill my character and destroy my life. Symbolically, a wreck killed her. The state's trying to kill me, but they didn't get it done. Deputy Sheriff John Charles of Harold County Sheriff's Office, Florida. Cause of death, vehicular pursuit. Cause of her death, vehicular pursuit. 2011, vehicular pursuit. These are people who got killed in pursuits. Just like me, I didn't get killed in a pursuit. The government's trying to kill me, that's 2. The government's trying to kill me, lying on me like they're doing Ray Fairclough. Running me down, the news media, an arm of the government. I could have been killed. I survived it, but the government's trying to kill me. Tennessee THPP, look at this right here. Trooper First Class, Sydney Hunter, Maryland State Police, May 21st, 2011. Cause of death, vehicle pursuit. That's 3, look at that, he's dead. Got killed in a car wreck in a high-speed pursuit. He was trying to protect the public, risking his life, just like Charles Van Morgan. I didn't get killed in a car wreck. I was a lot older than those. Those people were in their 30s. I was in my 40s and had a little more experience than they had. I'm not saying they did anything wrong, but the state's trying to kill me. Character assassination. They died in pursuits. If they had lived with the state that killed them, there's another one, that's 3. Police officer, Jermaine Anthony Gibson, 2011, Cathedral City Police Department, California. Cause of death, vehicle pursuit. That's 4. Charles Van Morgan was involved in a vehicle pursuit in 2011. 4 officers were killed in pursuits in 2011. What I was doing, could have been killed. See, the state ain't painting it that way, that what I was doing for the public, I stood a high chance of having my life taken, doing that for you, trying to get a drunk driver off. So they reframed it that I was doing something bad. Risking my life for the public, something very known, 4 people in 2011, more people been killed. Something very known to cost officers their lives. I knew that before. There are people in 2010 in pursuits lost their lives. I knew that, but I was engaged in an activity I knew I could have lost my life in to protect you, the public. But Colonel Tracy trots to the back rooms, reframed that like I did something wrong. Risking my life for public safety. See how they reframe things? They lie. Just like Ray Fairclough answering a call about a burglary, and then he defends himself by somebody trying to kill him with a rock, possibly, or serious bodily injury. He had every right to defend himself. The government's trying him for murder. Amazing, amazing. Don't listen to their lies. Don't listen to their lies. They're full of lies. They'll lead you in the wrong direction. And tomorrow I'll tell you how we can, everyone can contribute and participate, even if you're not registered to vote. Another way we have, one of our tactics is we put out ads in the newspaper. We've been around a while. This is an ad in the newspaper that was put out in Tennessee. It actually appeared in the newspaper, in a newspaper out in West Tennessee. In their paper, we paid for it, so we put out newspaper ads. Another tactic that we have used, we'll continue to use, is lawsuits. We filed a lawsuit against the district attorney in Chattanooga for their false arrest. We fought back. The charges were dismissed, of course, and I got my gun back, the same gun they took, charged me with a felony for. I got it right here. Yeah, it didn't work very well for them, did it? It's not going to work very well for them because the truth matters. So we filed lawsuits. 2 of them, I filed a lawsuit against the Tennessee Board of Law Examiners. Put stuff in the newspaper, right here, facilitating the movement. Just ask yourself, how bad does it have to get before you join the movement? How much disorganization has to go on? Let's ask them, how bad does it have to get before you vote, keep voting the same, and soon you won't be able to eat, but they will eat just fine off your money. You know, there's a grocery cart right there. So how bad does it have to get before you start standing up for your rights? So join the social movement. One of the reasons why they attacked me is when I was a trooper, in my left front pocket over my heart I carried a Bible. There's the bulge in my pocket. They don't like Christians. They don't like Christians. And here's some of the counter movement. Moms for Liberty, Moms for Violence. They promote school shootings or stand up against me. That's a good group of people to stand up against me, because I detest and abhor violence. Constance Avery, member of the Black Lives Matter, stood up against me. What a dirtbag she is. Got arrested and convicted by a jury of her peers for assaulting poor restaurant waiters and waitresses at a local downtown Knoxville restaurant. She went to jail. Now she'd like to assault me. Guess what, Constance Avery? I believe in self-defense. You ever raise a hand to me and come at me? I feel bad for you. I'll defend myself. And anybody in your little organization that tries to hurt me, it'll be very bad for you. I assure you. Keep your damn hands off me. Or, just saying, you know, I'll defend myself against you all. Because you're like him, you're pieces of shit. So, sure, we got counter movements. Got somebody on here, going on here, on and on, posting numerous about, oh, he's somebody, watch somebody burn to death. Yeah, just like the news media. It's called gaslighting. Just like Ray Farrakhan. Go ahead, it's not phasing me. We're not going anywhere. The truth matters, you dirtbag liars. Here's some of the other gaslighting is what they're doing. There's some of the other hater baiters trying to bait us. That's counter movements. It means we're stepping on the dirty toes of the crooked people that are protesting, but are actually part of the government, because they want them to do that. So yeah, let them keep on. Just shows us how important we are. Thank you so very much. We're not going anywhere, and so we'll get off here, and we will be back on here tomorrow. We can even use some of the tactics they use. Like if you're not careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppression. Malcolm X said that. I don't follow Malcolm X, but he knew about social movements and knew some successful tactics. And if you're not careful, other protesters will have you thinking that they're oppressed when they're not. Black Lives Matter is not an oppressed movement. They're mainstream, part of the polity, and they're a rogue organization that even black people are against. So we'll talk about a new topic tomorrow. Thank you all so very much for joining us. Join the movement. We're making a difference for you. We'll have another interesting topic tomorrow. Hope you've enjoyed the show today. So God bless y'all. And like I always say when I end the show, is God loves you and I do too. Till tomorrow morning.